Right now, I have to stop saying.
Oh, hi, I can say slut. Okay, you're laughing, and I wasn't listening again. So
Okay.
what did it say this
Okay,
time?
hold on.
That's a good drop. That's a good
Listen,
drop.
Oh, hi, I can say slut.
Play the whole thing. He missed the whole intro. Right now, I have to stop saying.
Oh, hi, I can say slut.
From last night's show. If you don't remember the slutty milkshake, now you know.
Slutty
my
milkshakes.
goodness. Play it again.
Slutty milkshakes.
Oh, what a great way to start a Tuesday.
What's a slutty milkshake?
I don't know. You said it.
You said it. You tell us.
You coined the term.
What's a slut?
Did we get that one clean too?
I hope I wasn't
Wait,
laughing
is
over
it
that.
seriously saying slutty? Slutty milkshakes.
So we're just going to keep adding on this because you're going to say, what's a slutty milkshake? And then we're going to pull the audio that says, what's a slutty milkshake?
I got to stop drinking at 2 in the afternoon before these shows.
Oh my God. I've lost it. We haven't even finished the cold open.
You're like, Holly.
Holy cow.
Oh, hi, I can say slut.
Oh, lunch. Oh, man. All right. I'm trying to be serious for a second. How do you do that with tears of laughter in your eyes? We have a major Dallas Stars injury update. Breaking news next here on DLLS.
Get it ready, boys.
Well, it is Tuesday. It is March 25th. This is the DLLS Dallas Stars Podcast. We are live from the lounge
Hi, I can
today.
say slut.
Craig Ludwig, who discovered last night in our post-game show another word he's allowed to say on the air.
Oh, hi, I can say slut. but
Oh my God, this is going to be a great show. Sean Shapiro has only said the words laughing and hello, maybe. I don't even know. Have you said anything else other than just giggle?
No, nothing else.
Oh my goodness. Well, hello, Sean. John is here. John has gotten us all giggling already. And Luddy, how you feeling as we start this one?
I'm excited. We got a dinner tonight.
We do.
We're going to Musume.
Yeah, we
a little sushi and
we
charity
did a
dinner.
charity dinner for I believe for the Do It for Durrett Foundation. With our buddy Jared Sandler with the Rangers. So kind of nice to have a nice meal and do something for a good cause.
It's great food.
Yeah,
Great food.
I can't wait. Luddy's very excited about the food. However,
I'm excited because it's free and we can drink all we want.
that too. One of the members of our dinner party tonight will not be able to go. And we were talking about Sam. This is the breaking Dallas Stars injury news. We thought Sam was just ill and was going to be out for a couple of days. It turns out this is Sam today in the hospital rocking a DLS shirt. That's a Rangers bubblegum shirt. He has to have his appendix out. And I believe it's either going to be tonight or tomorrow. He doesn't know for sure yet. So chat, raise a glass, put out good vibes for our little buddy Sam.
Bobby's upstairs raising a imaginary glass.
There you go. We'll get him back on in action soon. And actually, that's a great segue to start our segment until we talk about slutty milkshakes again. About
Slutty
Tyler
milkshakes.
Seguin. Tyler Seguin, as you may know, suffered a injury at some undisclosed point. We don't know when, but I think Sean, is the presumption that he may have entered this season knowing that this was something he was trying to play through, not something that just came up?
Yes, that is the presumption. That
Okay.
I think the kind of one of the lingering things out there that was kind of all on the background and no one really had enough information to report on it enough was the Stars knew this was going to be something that they were eventually going to have to deal with and make a decision on. And then before any of that could kind of get out into the public realm, eventually they hit 22 games or whatever it was. Then Tyler Seguin went down for the surgery. So yeah, it's something where, from my understanding of it and talking to people around the team, this is something where this wasn't a surprise. It was just a question of whether Seguin was going to be able to battle through it, or if those first 10, 15 games were going to say, hey, yeah, we got to get this done. So it's not that it was a surprise for the organization. They just did a good job of keeping everything on the down low to everyone else.
There was one game in particular that after we knew about it, and it was right around that mark, whether it was 20 or whatever the mark was, and there was one play in the neutral zone, and I remember us talking about it. Is you could see that he went to take a stride, and all of a sudden he just kind of pulled up a little bit, and I believe it was Duchesne just kind of took the puck from him, kept on going. Tyler kept on going, but you could just there was this little hitch in his giddy up.
There was a oop.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that was kind of, and I don't think it was many games after that he pulled the plug and said we got to get this done.
So he played his last game on December 1st, which was against Winnipeg. He had 19 points in 20 games. It was I believe 1.05 points per game, which was his highest points per game average in a season at that point in the last 10 years.
That math doesn't track. That math. Wait, you said 19 points in 20 games?
Sorry, 20 points in 19 games.
Okay.
Yeah, I said that backwards. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
But he was having, for all intents and purposes, a career year. Not necessarily his best ever, but one of his best starts. And if he had played all 82, which he's done before and takes a lot of pride in, he could have very easily matched his career best. And that line with Duchesne,
I would think that all three of them are probably on track.
Oh
to
my
have
goodness,
career
were they
years
ever?
Individually? Yeah.
And then 3 days later, after his last game was the first, on December 4th, the official release came out. We had heard rumblings that this might happen. Not enough to make a confident report. We didn't get the corroboration, but a lot of us knew something was going on there. And Jim Nill, through the team, made a statement saying he's going to have surgery the next day, which was December 5th, for two things: hip resurfacing and a repair of labrum on the left, both on the left side. I'm pointing to my right, but I meant on his left. They said 4 to 6 months. So that was December 5th. It is now March 25th. So January, February, March, that's 3+ months later, right? That's pretty on the quick side, which is encouraging because Tyler has earlier yesterday, actually, at the morning skate, I asked Pete DeBoer what are his hurdles that he has to cross now. And Pete said he is now cleared to skate as much as he wants. He had been skating. He had skated with the team a couple times, including yesterday morning, but never, Pete said, 4 or 5 days in a row. So now he gets to see how his body reacts by skating as much as he feels up to. And then he said, if his body responds well, then the next step is contact drills, which he said, and Luds, you know very well, that's a different level.
Yeah, well, what it is, and it's not so much, yes, it's contact, but it's the resistance and being able to fight and push through when you get on the walls and in the corners and things like that, to be able to, use your hips and push through all that stuff. It's easier coming back from this, which I've never had it, so I shouldn't even say that. But listening and talking to people, when you can get out there and skate and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. But when you start getting people that are leaning on you, and not only that, taking a hit, you know what I mean, and test it out. And sure, I'm sure there's points he's gone into the boards, and he probably gets out there and he tests this by banging himself into the boards. But it'll be about pushing through the traffic and trudging through like what feels like a 6 feet of mud at times for him to get going. But again, he's done this before, so I think he's got something to measure it against.
So that leads me to my first question to both of you. He's getting closer. I asked Pete yesterday, and he confirmed Tyler is on this trip. It's a 4-game trip. It'll be about a week long, maybe a little less, but they're going to have a couple of days in some pretty cloudy weather, apparently. Edmonton, Calgary, and then Seattle for 2 games on a Saturday, Monday. So they'll have some days there out on the West Coast, and apparently it's supposed to not be like it is in Dallas, which is upper 80s, close to 90 degrees, and not feeling like spring anymore. It's supposed to be pretty dreary, cold in Alberta. and then overcast and wet and Seattle-like. I was talking to somebody yesterday going up the elevator, said that a couple of players might get a little stir crazy because they're so used to how much sun there is down here in Dallas. But we're getting closer, right? The ironic part is that Dallas right now is trying to avoid practice as much as they can to rest up so that players are fresh for the playoffs. And Tyler needs as much practice as he can. But my first question is, how will he get back to playing NHL hockey? Is there any chance that he would consider, and it has to be from him, the team can't just send him there, an AHL conditioning stint, Sean?
Well, the answer is no, but I think, and so this is actually a more enlightening segment than all three of us just say no. I think we should talk about why he would say no, because so people who understand real quick how an AHL conditioning stint works, it's one of the few ways a player can go play in the AHL at this time of year. Honestly, if they weren't on the AHL roster at NHL trade deadline time, player can go down for, I believe it's 3. There's a couple different ones. You could do a 3-game one, you could do a 7-game one, or which is effectively 15 days. And so that is technically within the CBA, and it's technically an option to Tyler Seguin if he wanted to go down and play AHL games to get himself right and figure that out. The simple answer is he probably would not do that for effectively 2 reasons. And I'll throw it to the guy who played in the league and understands a little bit more about the mentality of what a minor leaguer might see when Tyler Seguin steps onto the ice there.
No?
Don't do it.
What? Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. I sewered myself last night by calling Beck not a smart player. So
no, Blackwell.
Yeah.
It's going to be our new T-shirt.
Yeah.
Colin Blackwell is
Yeah.
not smart.
So I'm trying to figure out how to say this about there are players in the American League that probably won't play in the NHL. We know that. And so
That's a fact.
Yeah. So I think sometimes they can't help themselves and they may not go into the boards the same way and they may go in a little aggressive. They're not looking out and saying, "Oh, that's Tyler Seguin and he's coming back for an injury, so I don't want to play hard against him." So, and then there may be the guy or of all of the players there, they're like, "I'm going to take a run at Tyler Seguin because that might be the one and only time I ever get to hit a real NHL player." So I think there's too many risks with it. Not that when Tyler comes back and plays, he's going to see a lot of that because everybody in the NHL world knows that what Tyler had done. So when Tyler comes back and when he plays in the playoffs, and you've got to expect that because if that line gets back together and they get back and running, they're going to know there is one guy that's been out for 3 months. And so if we can take a little piece of that and slow it down, I mean, you circle his name, and I mean, it's just the truth. That's what happens, and you do whatever you have to get players on tilt.
So, and to Lud's point,
go ahead, John.
To add to Lud's point, this time of year in the AHL, it's filled with guys who may be making their pro debut. And you may have guys who are kids coming up from junior hockey, guys signed out of college, guys who are getting their first look at the AHL at this time of year. Owen, you were play-by-play guy for Texas. You know the amount of guys that come in that are getting their first taste of maybe coming up from the WHL or the OHL and getting their first chance at pro hockey right now. And it is always a league where everyone is trying to prove themselves and going full tilt all the time. And then you add in that element in the spring of, hey, I'm trying to prove to everyone else that I'm new here and I'm going to take the next step with this. And so that goes even further for me on this one with Lutz, where it's this time of year, you've got way more 21, 22-year-old kids who are fresh out of junior hockey who are trying to make a name for themselves positively. And that leads to a little bit more of that chaos.
Do you think that there's a difference between a skater and a goaltender as far as doing a conditioning stint, and why?
Yes. 100%. Well, two reasons. One, on the AHL level, no one's effectively running a goalie. You're not that stupid. Like no one's running a goalie that way. There's no board battle or anything like that. And for two, from a goaltending perspective, you kind of have to do that conditioning stint, right? Like you can Tyler Seguin can play his first game back with the Dallas Stars, and if he's not feeling it after 2 minutes, well, Pete can pull him from the game, and then you go 11 forwards the rest of the night. It's not a big deal. You can't do it with a goalie. You can't risk your entire team winning or losing on a goalie, and that's why it's a big difference. That's why this is different between when Ben Bishop tried to come back and tried to play a game, and when Tyler Seguin's trying to come back. That's a big thing there.
I have one more question to carry over that we're going to do next here on the DLLS Stars Podcast.
But first, let's talk about Happiest Hour. It's the best place to watch college basketball at this time of year. 40-plus TVs, massive jumbo LED screen, 50-plus beers on tap, and a game day atmosphere like no other. Basketball arcade games, Happiest Hour is the go-to destination all tournament long. There are team happy-tizers and cocktails. Big games call for big bites and brews. Our team-sized happy-tizers serve 4+, make you the perfect shareable snack for you and your squad. I'm struggling not to laugh at happy-tizers. Pair the Pop-A-Shot poppers with our beer tower cheese for the ultimate game day grub while you cheer on your team. And the championship game watch party. This madness reaches its peak with our championship game watch party on April 7th, where we'll crown the happiest bracket challenge champion with their grand prize and more giveaways for all the attendees. Well, when they've got words like happy-tizers and all of that in there, you know it's a good time. So go check it out.
Thank you, Sean. Let's talk about Own Well. Owning property comes with plenty of challenges. Overpaying on property tax shouldn't be one of them. Did you know you can fight your property taxes and save thousands of dollars every year? Well, sign up for Own Well. One of the things that's really fun is I just drove by a billboard of it. I said it on the postgame last night. On the tollway, headed down towards the AAC last night. I briefly glanced at today as I was buzzing by trying to get here in a proper amount of time. But you can see it for yourself if you're out over that direction. Put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. Ownwell handles everything from start to finish and delivers top results. There's no upfront costs. You only pay if you save. 86% of Ownwell's customers receive a reduction with average customer savings of $1,102. Local tax experts backed by cutting-edge technology and best-in-class customer support help you save money every year and stay updated throughout the process. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most counties. Save on money with property taxes with Ownwell. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/DLLS. That's OWNWELL.com/DLLS. All right.
Hey, in case you were wondering,
I was.
Happiest Hour starts from 4 to 6.
Nice.
Half-priced appetizers.
I like the appetizers.
Appetizers and signature cocktails.
Yeah.
Ooh. 6 p.m.
There you go.
Sure. That means I'll be sitting outside on the steps for about 45 minutes before they open the door after
waiting
the
for them
show.
to do it. Carry over the Seguin talk real quick, and then we have some updates on some young players, which actually kind of ties in with the whole, does he play in the AHL? So my next question is that he does look really quick. Watching him skate yesterday morning, he's moving around. It doesn't look like any limitations. Again, he's got to go through contact. That's going to be another step. But I think it's, knock on wood, as long as he doesn't have any major setbacks, he looks like he's going to play games before the end of the regular season, which, Sean, leads to a problem with the salary cap.
I call it a puzzle more than a problem,
Okay.
right? It's how do you figure out, how do you make the cap space work for Tyler Seguin to be able to play games? Because you, with Miro Heiskanen on LTIR, if you could bring Tyler off, but right now you'd be about $600K, $700K short of the number you need to get to. For those who don't know or have forgotten, one of the things about long-term injured reserve LTIR is if a player is going to come back during the regular season, you have to find the space to make it work before the end of the regular season if they're going to come back. So effectively, the Stars will have to make another roster move in addition to putting Seguin, in addition to taking Tyler off LTIR. They'll have to make another roster move to open up the space, which leads to effectively two options. Owen, we've talked about them a little. We talked a little bit before the show.
2 or 3 options.
Yeah, a couple options, and the key here is none of these options impact playoff roster. I think that's an important note to just have that up there right away. There's nothing that requires, there is no salary cap for the NHL playoffs. You can have as many players as you want on the roster, so it doesn't. So effectively creating the cap space for Seguin to play, you probably need to send a waiver exempt player down, a Oscar Beck or a Maverick Bork, send him down to Texas, or you could do the other thing you could potentially do, which would be,
I'm not sure Beck is actually, he's 25 now. I'm not sure he's waiver exempt.
We'd have to check him on the waiver calculator. It might be Bork might be the only one on that. And
I believe if I was reading this on Puckpedia correctly, it's Bork, Bischel are the only two that are waiver exempt.
Okay.
So let's
makes sense. Yeah.
Let's talk this out. If Tyler's ready to go before the end of the regular season, and hopefully everybody stays healthy, meaning no further injuries. The caveat is if somebody else were to get hurt, and we don't want that to happen, you could obviously use that player on LTIR and just say, okay, well, you're not going to play any more games till the playoffs, so that'll open up the space for Seguin. But if not, if everyone's healthy, would you be more inclined to, because Seguin's a forward and needs to play in that spot, to send down a guy like Bork, try to put Oscar Beck on waivers, send down Bischel, would make a space, or even would you waive Brendan Smith? Those are all options. What sounds good or not good in your case?
Yes to any of them. You need Tyler Seguin as close to whatever he's going to be for this team to move forward. So, again, collateral damage. And it's not fun, but it's the business of it. So if you're asking me which one, I don't think it would be Maverick. So I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
I would actually argue it might be Maverick, because if Tyler's coming into the line, if Seguin's coming into the lineup, someone's coming out. Because I don't think you want to. I think the goal right now is you want Liam Bischel to play his best hockey for the playoffs. So if you're going non-waiver exempt guys, it's, to me, you need Bischel to keep playing so he is rolling at an NHL pace before game one of the playoffs. If Bork's going to come out with Seguin coming back in either way, you might as well send him down. To me, the more test of, do you want to do it to the guy because he's already been kicked and it's a tough part of the business, but are you going to waive Brendan Smith? Brendan Smith makes $1 million against the cap. You could waive him, and honestly, he's probably not going to get claimed. It's a pretty safe play that, especially at that time of year. So I would argue that might be, it's either Bork or Smith to me are the best case option, because I don't want Bischel to be the one going down.
I'd be concerned that I don't know Maverick and don't know state of mind and things like that, that if he did get sent back, that the progress that he's made is just from a confidence standpoint, which may not be the case. But if there is anybody that comes out, to me, he's the guy that's got to pick up the slack. And I think he's the guy from an offensive standpoint, from creating chances standpoint, he's the most reasonable one for me to put into the lineup than anybody else in that. So, and I get the fourth line. I mean, if you can have that fourth line that do and does what they've been doing, it's a big advantage in the playoffs, especially when your coach has the confidence to put them out there at all different times of the game, especially, in moments when you need that puck and you need that game period score locked down right where you want it at that time. So I think that's important. But again, I think Maverick's got the biggest upside of the group to score a big goal, to make a big play, make a timely play that creates more.
How valuable is that for the Stars to have that fourth line? Not only because we've seen lately how consistent they've been. I mean, they've been that way much of the year, but they haven't always been playing together, because there's been mixing and matching, and Steele was up for a bit on the third line, and they had guys moving around. But Beck, Steele, Blackwell, not only because of how they play 5-on-5, but what we saw last night, Steele and Blackwell were just dynamic as penalty killers.
It's huge because, again, you're playing every other night against the same group of guys, right? And you can throw those guys out there, and you can find moments where you need to get a little bit of a break for certain guys. Maybe there's some special teams going on, and it's, some guys up front. You don't have a problem using a couple of those guys to kill penalties. Or maybe it's just inside the 5-on-5 game, and you're running on 2 or 3 guys. You're comfortable throwing those guys out there, giving them an extra shift or 2 per period, just because this game may go into overtime. And when you go into overtime in the playoffs, by the way, there isn't a shootout. And so now you know who you're going to lean on in overtime, and it's going to be your top minute guys. And so if you can buy time and you can manage the game and manage other player minutes during the course of a game, I think that's a bonus. And there's no fear. I mean, we know how they're going to play. We know that they make the right decisions and with the puck, and they block shots when they have to. They do all the ugly, dirty things that maybe some of the other guys don't like to do.
Yeah. Would it be, Sean, a possibility that one of those guys, that because that line's been good, that if Seguin came back into the lineup, somebody in the top 9 would get scratched to keep those 3 intact?
Possible. I mean, it's highly possible. I think everything's on the table for the Stars right now when it comes to the lineup and who plays with whom in the playoffs and everything like that. I don't think there's anything off the table on that. And I imagine that the Stars, it's one of those things that also works itself out too, right? Like I talk about how teams that go deep in the playoffs, you're going to need to go 7-8 defensemen deep. Forward, you need to go 13, 14, sometimes even 15 forwards deep. So there's going to be some tough decisions and tough discussions that the staff has with players before game 1 of the playoffs. But I would just go back to that in the very next line of like, look, depth will be tested for what we need to do. So I'm not overly worried about who comes in and out at game 1 right now. I'm more concerned. My bigger concern and discussion point would be, okay, does it work in game 1? Well, let's talk about it for game 2. That's when I start to think more about it. That's game 1 to me isn't the question. It's more of how do you continue to use this depth that you have to properly make sure you're adjusting a series and winning that chess match that Ludge just talked about with seeing the same team every other night for 2 weeks.
What about the idea that we've talked about is the other guys? Because we mentioned, you can send Bichsel down, although you don't really want to. We talked about Beck. We talked about Bork. Would waiving Brendan Smith be a good or bad idea? I know you said any to the 4, but he's a veteran guy. He's obviously gone through a tough season, not playing all the time. He's never really been in that situation. He's admitted that it's not been easy for him to not play more regularly. Would this be an unnecessary kick to a veteran guy if they did that?
Listen, it's the cost of doing business.
Yeah,
like I said, and I think that if Matt Dumba wouldn't have made the steps that I think we all pretty much agree on, that as he's gone from week to week, month to month, he's gotten to be better. And even by our fans writing things in, they see it also. So I look at the way that they're deployed out there and he's deployed out there. So I think there's a trust there now. And he's been in the league for 10, 12 years, whatever. So, and he's got speed. He's got more speed than Brendan Smith. Okay, he's quicker than Brendan Smith. Brendan Smith brings other things to the table. I think if you're keeping Brendan Smith around, be honest with you, he's playing up front. I mean, that's where I would have. I mean, if he
had some very effective games up front.
If you need him in the lineup, that's where I would put him, because I think if you're going to put him out there, again, because I like putting myself in this. Like, I don't know if you want him out there on the road against a McKinnon and a Makar in the lineup and a Val Nichushkin because you get last change. I think I would rather have Matt Dumba out there right now. That's my feeling. And again, Matt could, have a brain.
And boy, has that changed in the last couple of weeks.
It has. But you know what? I've been a little easier on him this year, I think, than other people, because I know that there is an adjustment to make and where you play, and especially in a system when you're not used to playing a certain way and you get caught in the middle thinking, okay, wait, I'm supposed to, oh, wait, that's right. And when that happens against good teams, you're screwed. And so he's come a long way, I think, and his game is just kind of quiet now. And it's what it's supposed to be. I don't think we've seen any poor penalties that he's taken.
Nope.
When he takes penalties, they're out of probably over-aggressiveness and trying to do things harder. And I think he's adjusted all that. And I think he's just, the more veterans you can have in the lineup. So, and Brendan Smith is a veteran also. But I just think there's more things that Matt Dumba can bring to the table playoff-wise than Brendan. Again, I think Brendan can be that perfect piece. Somebody's banged up and you need a little more presence in the lineup, put him up front.
Yeah. So if you did waive him and that caused another, sort of rip or tear in that confidence or the connection with the team, that may be not a good idea to do.
Yeah, I don't. You mean from Brendan's standpoint?
Yeah.
I don't. No. Like I said, you got to do what you have to do here.
You don't think it's that big a deal, Sean? You think he'll handle it as a vet?
I don't think there's an emotional toll on any player that comes out of the lineup or gets sent down to the AHL for Tyler Seguin coming back. Like, I honestly think that these are professional athletes, and they've dealt with part of dealing with a professional athlete is this. Maverick Bourque has been sent down to Texas, and he will return from Texas. Same thing with Liam Bichsel. The amount of, like, in a lot of ways, it's going to feel, because this is the last 2 games of the regular season, it's effectively going to feel like a paper transaction anyway. I mean,
Right.
the Stars have this. I mean, before the deadline, Bischel's already went back and forth to Texas multiple times on days that he didn't even realize it was happening. So, like, there's no, to me, there's no, like, I think we're coddling things a little bit too much when we're talking about, oh my God, it's going to hurt his confidence. Like, it's not going to hurt his confidence. It's, you deal with it and move on. That's what it is. So.
Hey, Sean, wouldn't you also assume that the way that Brendan has been handled in the last month or two, he's kind of expecting? I mean, I don't think he's anything he's not thinking could happen.
That's fair.
I just think that he's been around the league long enough. He's like, I've seen this before. I kind of know what's or could be coming down the road.
I mean, Owen talked about conditioning stints before. I mean, if you're Brendan Smith, wouldn't at some point you ask for one yourself? Just seriously, right? Like, you're Brendan Smith. You're like, hey, I haven't played in so long. I may have my number called at some point. Wouldn't you maybe go to Jim Nill and say, hey, Jim, if I'm not going to play in the first 2 weeks of April, let me go to Texas for 3 to 4 games. Let me get the physicality and let me play. So that way, if you need me in game 3 or 4 of the playoffs, it won't be my first game in 2 months. Like that, if I'm Brendan Smith, I would actually ask for the conditioning stint, because I think that might extend my career and extend my favor with the organization as well, because that can go a long way. So
let's talk about, I have one more question that just came into my head, so we do that, and then we'll talk about the 2 signings the Stars made yesterday officially here on the DLLS Stars podcast.
Well, this one goes out to our little buddy, Sam. The cells in our bodies are the building blocks of life. Timeline is a supplement, Sam, that works with those cells to give you more energy, feel stronger during workouts, and mobility as you lie in your bed there, Sam, to start you as you kind of start to age, which apparently we're seeing a little bit of that now. The patented ingredient is MitoPure, a postbiotic nutrient that clears our dysfunctional mitochondria, aka your cell's battery packs. With regular use, Sam, you'll see and feel the difference in the form of improved energy levels and faster recovery. MitoPure is the only supplement clinically proven to rejuvenate health, Sam, at the cellular level, and also delivers a double-digit increase in muscle strength and endurance without the change in exercise. Right now, Sam, Timeline is giving you 10% off your order of MitoPure. So, Sam, go to timeline.com/DLLS today and get started. Sam, that's timeline.com/DLLS.
Man, that was a great read by Lutz. Let's talk about Game Time. Game Time is the best way to get tickets to your favorite sporting event, concert, theater, comedy show, you name it. Game Time has it. Go to their website, gametime.co, or even better, download their app. They have a feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. Whether it's the Stars games going up to the end of the regular season and into the playoffs, the Mavericks, Anthony Davis just came back last night. What about the Rangers? They're opening up the opening day. It's on the horizon. We're almost there. Major League Baseball getting underway, I think, against our favorite Red Sox, John, as we remind you that you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay, one more question about Seguin, and then we get into this player signing news that we heard yesterday from the Stars announcing. Is there any benefit, either one of you, I'll go to Ludz first in this one, of having Tyler's first games back be home games versus road games? Does it matter?
Not for me. I mean, if you're out there on the road and you don't want Tyler on the ice because maybe he's not up to speed, and if the game is changing something from the standpoint of standings, maybe, but otherwise, no. And I you know what, honestly, I think more for Tyler, maybe it's better to start on the road and not have the fans expecting a little too much from you and trying to do that. Although this isn't a player that's been around for only 3-4 years. I mean, he's been through all this. He's a veteran. He can handle home or road.
Sean, what do you think? There's anything there as far as that would make? Okay, so here's my thought. Okay, today is Tuesday the 25th. If he goes on this road trip and skates every day this week, like they talked about, and he responds well, that gets you into the beginning of April. Then he's got to deal with contact. So let's give him another week after that. So that would get you past home games with Nashville, Pittsburgh, and then Minnesota's a second of a back-to-back that weekend where they play at home against the Penguins and then at the Wild. They have 3 home games left after that. Vancouver, Winnipeg, Utah, and then they finish at Detroit. I know Sean will be there, and at Nashville. Does it matter opponent at all as he's getting to that target area?
Vancouver could be out of the playoff picture by then.
Yep.
Winnipeg could have something locked up by then, and
Could
you're
be.
resting a game or two,
Yep.
or a player or two in that, possibly.
It could also be for the division.
I think you have to. I think Tyler gets 2 games. I think that because I think you'd like to get him to get 2 games because maybe the first game he comes out of and he kind of knows how he feels, and then he gets the second game and he understands. Yeah, this is what I'm gonna deal with, and it's not so bad. I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know if you want 3 games, but again, I think Tyler would, if Tyler can get 3 games in, he'll get 3 games in. But I don't think the opponent matters there. I think when you get down to Dallas is going to be where Dallas is going to be. Colorado's probably, I mean, we're kind of still in that neighborhood. So I don't think that it's going to be anything anybody's got. Everything's not on the line, so to speak. Vancouver, things could be on the line in that game. So there, you may see some guys playing at a different level than a Winnipeg that's got it wrapped up in another team that's not in the playoffs.
John, theoretically, you could be at Little Caesars for his return to action if that was the case those last 2 games.
You realize, Owen, I plan everything this way. So
I
yes.
do. You knew this in December, didn't you?
Yes, I knew this in December. It's all lined up. I've known since then.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Again, we're just speculating. We don't know, but it sure feels like the momentum is going in the right direction, which is a really good thing. A quick side note, and probably shouldn't even bring it up because it's going to lead to a much longer conversation, is Miro Heiskanen is not there yet. We're not seeing him start to skate. I can't imagine he's anywhere close, and we've talked about it. But, he has to go through all these things like Tyler does, and yet we are not there yet. So,
Sean, how do you handicap the first round if for any reason Miro can't play?
I have a really hard time seeing the Stars beating Colorado. I have
Without
a
Miro?
really hard. Yes, I have a really hard time seeing them win the series against Colorado without Miro. What Miro brings. Miro is the matchup that you can put out there against Nathan MacKinnon, and it allows your depth to do everything else. If you don't have Miro Heiskanen to match up with MacKinnon, I have images of him cooking Ilya Lyubushkin like he did. And
in all honesty, right? Like even if Miro comes back and gets to skate, and then you throw him in there against MacKinnon and Val and guys like that, and we know he's not going to be 100%. So it's it is what it is.
It's gut check time, lads. That's what it is. It's gut check time is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, Stars announced yesterday signings of 2 players. One was a forward, Ayrton Martino, a 2-year entry-level contract. He's a 22-year-old that just finished playing his 4-year collegiate career at Clarkson in Potsdam. Best part of, no, not really, but it is a place in the ECAC. He was a Stars draft pick, and then on the other side, he was drafted, 3rd round of 2021. And then I believe this is the free agent signing, right, Sean? Trey Taylor, a defenseman who just finished his junior year, also at Clarkson. What do we know about these two? We've talked about this in the last week or so with the Stars trading away those first-round picks for Rantanen. Martino obviously on the radar being a draft pick, but what do we know about him and also Taylor as they get ready to go report to the Texas Stars?
Yeah, so actually, I'm interested to see if they may play tomorrow night. I know their travel plans were still being figured out, so they may be playing tomorrow night when Texas goes to Grand Rapids. But I talked to Rich Peverly today about this, and I was curious to kind of pick his brain on where things kind of developed with and how things went on this, because we knew with Ayrton Martino, we knew he was a Stars draft pick. We paid attention to him, and with Trey, the Stars have been paying attention. Kind of, he's been on their radar. It wasn't just something that developed this season. They also signed an ATO out of Clarkson last year, if you might remember, with the Texas Stars. And so they actually invited him to development camp this past summer, and and Rich couldn't remember what the reason was he couldn't make it to development camp, but he's been on their radar since. And so when the Stars were hanging out around Clarkson, around the team, and it kind of not became a package deal, but as the opportunity kind of opened up, that relationship built. And that's kind of how a lot of these college signings can go. Players look at really two things when it comes to college signings, because you can only sign them to entry level deals. It's not like, oh, someone can go throw more money at a guy than another. They look at kind of relationship with the people who are running the organization, which kind of effectively one of the things Rich Peverly has handled a lot of this spring, and then kind of just fit and ability to potentially play. And that's a big step right there. And I wanted to so if you'll allow me to read real quick, Owen, because with Trey Taylor, I went through and pulled my work over at Elite Prospects. I pulled some of the scouting reports that our people have done, and then you kind of cross-reference this with what Rich Peverly told me about him. And basically, the rule, kind of the book on this kid is he's a two-way defenseman. He plays a style that gets up the ice effectively, especially at the college game, but it's probably going to be a little bit more defensively minded at the pro level. Multiple people have talked about how good of a shot blocker he is, so that's going to give him a soft spot in Lud's heart right there. And it's really the big thing for him to kind of progress at the pro level, as one of the scouts told me, was is he going to be able to add that final precision to be a legit NHL prospect? Right now, he's a legit AHL prospect. He will play in the AHL, will be a good fit, they said. But can he add that precision? Can he add that crisp pass? Can he add that crisp read and the breakout and make that quick decision as the game gets faster in the AHL? So that's the thing with him that's going to be interesting to watch. And the other thing, just kind of the Stars on the college free agency side, they aren't done looking at things. When I was talking to Rich about it today, I was asking about his plan earlier this week, and we both happened to be heading to Toledo on Thursday when there's the NCAA regional there that has BU and Ohio State and Michigan State and Colgate. Cornell. Sorry. I know someone will get very angry for me using those, but so the Stars aren't done looking at all this front yet. So
we'll talk more about that in a minute too.
Yeah. So there still could be more on all of this, but good ads for the Stars, and really important with where they are in their cap space. So
now, Sean, you left. You were kind of poking fun at me, but you also meant it seriously, because I'm a huge UMaine fan. I grew up as a little kid watching the Black Bears play. Jim Montgomery was a superstar there. Paul Correa was there. Garth Snow, Mike Dunham. I could go on and on. Really loved that when I was of my formative years as a hockey fan. And you said, as Maine won the Hockey East Championship, they're in the college it's Frozen Four tournament, but they haven't gotten to the Frozen Four yet, of course, because it hasn't begun. I believe starts Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, this week.
Thursday, yes. Thursday, yeah.
But they have a goalie that you also said, boy, the Stars should go after. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, Albin Boyas. He's a Swedish goalie who was playing at Maine. Been really good this year. Probably the only college free agent goalie that I would look at with a legit NHL pro future. There's been the goalie from Notre Dame signed with Calgary the other day. Feels a little bit more like an AHL guy. But we've talked about kind of the Stars' long-term plan. I need to see them find a backup goalie that fits well in the cap world after Casey DeSmith's deal is up in 2 years. I'd like to see that grown from within, because that's how you kind of keep the money down and everything like that. You're not always going to get Casey DeSmith's for 3 years and $1 million each. And the Stars don't have that guy right now. Just honestly, they don't have the goalie prospect in the system that you can say oh my God, he is a future NHL backup in 2 to 3 years. And they just don't have that. And so they need to kind of be looking at more options like this, like the goalie from Maine. And obviously that would give you a lot to talk to him about, Owen. It would be great for everyone involved.
Oh, I haven't been to Maine for a game in so long. Sean, it'll be fun to go back. I'm sure it would look very different than when I was 10 or 12 years old watching it, but it would be really cool that way. I'd love to do it. We're going to talk to Joey Erickson, our buddy who's the host of the Locked On Stars podcast, in our next segment, and we will do that next. But first, boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Being a diehard. Sean's showing you the QR code. If you are listening to the audio version, the QR code takes you to alldlls.com. That's our website. When you get there, click on the diehard. The link, of course, for the QR code goes right to the diehard page, and you can sign up to be a DLLS diehard. It's not just about Stars. We had a fan ask last night, I just want to sign up because I like hockey. I don't care about the Rangers, Mavs, or Cowboys. Well, guess what? Just like any good deal, you get more value even if you're only focused on one of those 4 sports. You get all of them. But there's so much more than that. You get a free t-shirt for your sign up on your annual subscription. You could use this one, like this DLS flag shirt. We've worn a whole bunch. The new pre-order for our Finnish Mafia shirt. It hasn't shipped for me yet, but when it does, I will wear it on the show. Can't wait for that one. I think it looks particularly good. We have a golf tournament coming up, and being a diehard, you get 20% off events. And guess what? We can officially announce it today, which we didn't have before then, is that we now have on our golf tournament event page on our website, be a foursome with Dallas Stars legend Craig Ludwig. Yeah, look at that. The claps from all over the studio.
I can say slut.
So if you want to play in a golf scramble at the Lone Star Open at Stevens Park on April 25th with us, and you want you and 2 of your friends and Craig Ludwig to be your foursome, it is up for sale right now on our website. First come, first serve.
You're signing a waiver if you're playing with me.
Yes.
Are you guys going to set it up? Are you guys going to set it up where like your groups are back to back? I feel like that would be the ideal experience.
Well, we'll have to talk to the boss man, but it would be pretty cool if that was the case.
Because like I think that would be ideal.
Like because you know how you do. We're gonna shotgun start.
Yeah.
Like on the next.
Oh, you mean we're A and B? It's called A and B flights.
See, Luddy knows.
I mean, I don't know what these two. Ben, can you come in here and help out with any of this stuff? Because apparently,
one round. This is the Cosm. Cosm's tomorrow night.
Oh no, we're not.
He heard us last night. You have not had any luck with that at all, have you?
Wait, who's buying the beer at the golf tournament?
Rugged Road.
What?
No, you have to bring the Rugged Road cooler.
I need a Miller Lite.
We will have our Cosm watch along tomorrow.
So these 2 events are costing me.
Is Sam's ticket still available? Okay. If you are watching and you want to go to Cosm tomorrow night, how do they do it? Do you know?
They get in their car and they drive there.
Okay, either get in the Discord and DM GM Ben, or on the website, it should be available. You can get 1 single ticket in our group at Cosm tomorrow night, Stars and Oilers, and...
I thought this thing was sold out.
It was, but our little buddy's in the hospital.
So we're just talking about Sam's ticket.
Sam's
Yeah,
ticket.
Are you serious? We're not going to have an empty chair there in honor of Sam?
Can we put his appendix in the chair? Can you bring his appendix and put it in the chair?
No, we're gonna put an empty chair with a roll of TP on
With a
it
jar?
in honor of Sam.
With the jar.
It would probably need a booster seat or 2.
We'll put a
that's for
milkshake
sure.
on it, Luds.
Don't forget,
Quit kicking a guy when he's down. He's getting cut open
Slutty
right
milkshakes.
now.
diehards get 20% off, whether it be the Cosm visit or the golf tournament. So all really good things. Oh, and guess what we added just as a special flair of being a DLLS fan and a diehard? Doesn't have to be for Stars only, but you have to be a diehard. Sean created a NCAA men's college hockey tournament bracket challenge only for diehards. So if you go in the Discord, Sean will show, there's a link and the password to get in right now. There are, including you, me, and Sam, there are 16 people in our group and counting, and the brackets, I believe, must be filled out before the games start on Thursday. So
yes,
just an added little bonus of fun for those diehards.
And we will figure out a fun, silly prize, but it'll be well worth your while for the winner of something.
Yes.
But it's free to enter. If you're a diehard, it's free to enter. So there's nothing. It doesn't matter if you don't know anything about college hockey, because this is silly season for that anyway. It's all one games, and it's maximum chaos and fun. So,
well, it's time for us. Oh, Ardell said, by the way, Luds, Sam gets sent down to the AHL for a conditioning stint. So,
like today, you mean?
no, I'm probably has to go through his procedure first, but LTIR, says Ben. Well, that opens up the spot for
Well,
Seguin.
We could move Sam's salary off the books for a little bit.
Boy, there's
send
a couple-
it to ATX, the unknown, the unknown city network. We don't have it named yet.
That's right. We are going to welcome on right now our buddy Joey Erickson. There he is from the Locked On Stars podcast. He's the host of that, and our monthly visit with Joey. This time with Sean, because usually we don't schedule you guys on the same day for obvious remote reasons, but with Sam on the shelf, we figured why. There he is.
Oh my God, what sympathy!
He is getting his appendix removed either tonight or tomorrow. We don't know yet when. So, Joey, aside from that, we've spent most of the show talking about the Tyler Seguin recovery and how you deal with that. So I wanted to ask you the question we've asked the group and the panel all day today, which is, if you had to take somebody off the roster because everyone's healthy, a good problem, to make room for Tyler Seguin, who would you first be inclined to for salary cap LTIR reasons?
Ooh, that's a great question. Man, I'm trying to think who I'd have to kick around here. I got to pull up Puckpedia real quick. And
now, you don't need much.
and
It's not as though you need a guy making $2 or $3 million. It just has to be. I think Sean wasn't at 600,000 or so. So basically, an NHL minimum would do.
Yeah, it's essentially So
man, I feel like it has. Okay, yeah. I feel like it would have to be between Bork or maybe Beck here, or actually maybe Blackwell. Man, that's a tough question. I guess you could go with. I guess I would go with Blackwell just because I feel like you can fill in his role with somebody like Maverick Bork or even Oscar Beck. I know Bork's been scratched now a couple nights in a row to get Dodonov in. So maybe Blackwell's the answer there. I hate to do it, but yeah, if you're fully healthy, I would love to get Tyler back involved too. If you get Seguin in for the final maybe week or so of games, I think that would be good just to get his legs moving before you hit the playoffs. That way he has some games underneath him. But that's a great question. And yeah, the Stars now have a lot of weapons to choose. And look, it looks like Pete DeBoer as well. It's going to be merit based, and he's not going to just put you in the lineup because maybe you're a young rookie that needs to get some ice time. Like, they're trying to win some games right now, so he has to make a lot of tough decisions.
Well, we were talking a lot about Jake Oettinger, as you might expect, on our show last night because of his shutout win over Minnesota, but also because he's been top of mind of the last couple of weeks with his performances and his numbers after the Four Nations, which weren't necessarily bad as far as a win-loss record, but not really instilling us with the I'm one of the best goalies in the world vibes, which even we've talked about it so many times, wants to be considered that, and that's his goal, to attain that. Did you feel a little better about Jake Oettinger after what he did last night?
Absolutely. I think we need to create the illusion that Otter's always playing Minnesota. I think that could help him a bit, because he always seems to have really, really good starts against the Wild. But yeah, I feel a lot more confident in what he displayed last night. But I think you could see that in his previous two starts as well, against Anaheim. And I believe it was Philadelphia, just getting a bit better here and there. And then he finally kind of put it all together. And hopefully this is the version of Jake Oettinger we can get on a night in and night out basis during that stretch where I think he was just plain awful on some starts. He just looks like he was fighting it, and he seems to be just more mental than anything. I think it's just a confidence thing with him. And yesterday, I thought he was excellent. His positioning was on point. And even he faced some really, really dangerous looks, including that tip from Boldy in the third period. Like, that was a tough one to get, and feels like he may have let that in a few weeks ago, and he was able to fight it off with the shoulder. So it did give me some confidence in his ability. Look, I'll always ride with him. I think on any given night, he'll give the Stars the best chance to win. And I've said this before, I always feel like in do or die go home situations, he usually, it's not the issue. He usually elevates his game. Hopefully he can do that. I guess if he wants to be considered the elites, like you mentioned, it's got to be every night. And that's tough to do, but if he wants to be in that conversation, he's going to have to do it night in and night out. And he's going to have to play like Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky do when the lights are the brightest.
So, Joey, if we just go to the whole team, your thoughts, they lost to, what was it, Winnipeg, Colorado,
Edmonton.
Tampa Bay, over the last 6 games or so. Where do you see the team game?
Yeah, I think they're really struggling. I feel like they've reverted back to maybe the first 25 games or so of the season, where it just felt like everything was a chore for them, especially in their own zone. They seem to really struggle to move the puck out of their own zone with tape-to-tape passes, and that usually allows them to open up their game off the rush and offensively, and that seems to be a real issue. And it just seems like they're fighting everything, and they just seem to be in this little bit of a slump. I think the injuries have started to take a toll. Like Harley's playing a lot of minutes, although he's been fantastic. So is Esa Lindell. It does not give me a lot of confidence heading into the playoffs. I just hope it's something that they can sort of resurrect here in the final few weeks, because I would hate for them to sort of go limping into the postseason and try to turn on the switch. I think that could be really, really hard for a team that's already faced a lot of adversity. And you have to factor in, maybe if you do get Miro back in round 1 and Seguin, you're going to have to implement them, and what type of players are they going to be after a long recovery process. So I don't think it's been doubt. You look at the games against Winnipeg and Colorado, and it's almost hard for me to take a lot of stock in those games, because I just don't believe that's the way the Dallas Stars want to play. I don't believe that is the Dallas Stars. And maybe that's the fan of me that's just a bit naive. So I think if push comes to shove and they play the best possible way they can when they're at their best, I think they can compete with some of the Winnipegs and Colorados of the world, although that's going to be really tough, especially without number 4. I think number 4 would give me a lot more confidence moving forward.
Okay, let me last one for you from me. When you mentioned number 4, who comes out of the lineup back there on the back end? Who do you take out? I don't even know if there's a right or wrong answer. I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
It would have to be probably Matt Dumba for me. I like what CC's brought, and Matt Dumba's been, I think, more than okay, especially over the last month or so. I know he had some issues early, but it seems like he's starting to come into his game. But I think CC's been a real stable blue liner for Dallas. So I think you bring him out. I like Bichel. I think you have to keep him in. I just think he's a difference maker. And he made that one play in the third period yesterday where he just shrugged off 2 guys along the wall, had the puck on his stick, and then he starts it up the other way. And I believe it led to a scoring chance. I just don't think Dumba or even really CC gives you that type of ability. So I would love to leave the young guy in there, and I'm thinking maybe you have to bring out Matt Dumba.
Joey, you do a daily podcast like this as well as we do, and so I'm sure you hear and you talk to other Stars fans all the time. When you talk about kind of that concern and finding that kind of sense of they're not having to ramp up for the playoffs and they're ready to go, what, from a fan perspective for you, what do you need to see? Like when you're watching the next 12 games, what are the things that you're like, hey, I want to see this or that so you feel better about game 83?
Yeah, I would say it's a combination of sort of what we saw yesterday too. I think they had to have a little bit of everything. It was special teams. They got good goaltending, but I think number 1 is just some of the effort. I hate to use this word, but I've used it. Seems like in some of those games against Winnipeg and Edmonton, they just seem disinterested. And I know that's not the case, but I think they need to get back to sort of pulling up their bootstraps. And I thought that's what we saw yesterday against the Wild. A little more of an approach of, hey, let's just throw pucks in and get after their D and win scrums. I think the fourth line has been a great example of that. They have been so effective over the last few weeks because they play a really simple style of game. And I know the other lines aren't necessarily built to be that way. I thought mikkorantanen looked excellent. If he could start to chip in a bit more offensively, I think that would give a lot of Stars fans confidence. I know some people are worried. I'm of the belief that it's like, okay, let's give him 20 games or so and wait for him to settle in before we start hammering him on his production. But I think just the approach and effort to just outwork other teams, because I think on a night in, night out basis over the last 2 or 3 weeks, just feels like the other team's outworking them to a degree. And I think that can be really frustrating as fans watching the Stars, because again, like I said earlier, I just, that's not Dallas. That's not the way the Stars are built. And I think we've heard that from Pete DeBoer a little bit too. I think he's echoed some of those sentiments that he's not happy with where they are right now at this point in the season.
Thank you to everyone who joined our television platforms today. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on the pod, and check out alldls.com. Okay, before we let Joey go and we sign off our show, I do have one question for the three of you. Alex Ovechkin is 7 goals away from breaking the NHL record for goals in a career held by Wayne Gretzky. They play tonight, Caps at the Winnipeg Jets. John, if you have the standings to show real quick, here's what it looks like in each conference. We start with the East, and there's Washington in that second tier of the Metropolitan Division, but they are at 102 points. Best team in the Eastern Conference, best team overall through 70 games. That means they have 12 games left. Now switch to the other side real quick. Here's Winnipeg all the way at the top at 100 with, of course, 13 games left. So a win tonight, they could tie the Caps for the President's Trophy race, both team, and then, still have a game in hand. My question to you guys is, with 12 games left, needing 7, do you think, I'll start with actually, we'll start with our guest. Joey, does Alex Ovechkin break the record before the end of this season?
Hell yeah, he does. I think I said about halfway through the year he would, so I'm going to stick with that. He's gonna get it done. Just feed grade 8 in his office. Let's make it happen.
Sean?
This is for anyone who doesn't understand this bit, I'm sorry, but he's going to, and here is why. The KHL goal record was set this year by Josh Levo. Josh Levo went and set the single season goal record for the KHL this year. So in order for Ovechkin to be able to start next season in the KHL and go after that record, as Luds and I have talked about, he needs to get that done this year so he can go start in September or August in the KHL to chase down Josh Levo as his next victim when it comes to goal records.
I love that. Luds, is he going to do it?
So his last 12 games, in those 12 games, he scored 5 goals.
Okay.
The 12 games prior to that, he scored 9 goals.
Ooh.
Exactly.
That's right in the middle.
Who is OV? So now they've got Minnesota, Buffalo, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Columbus twice. Now they're tougher ones. Carolina. They got Boston in there too. I give Swayman the edge on that. They got Carolina twice, and they got the Islanders once or twice. I don't know. Like 7 goals in 12 games. I mean, I think in the first 2 games against Minnesota and Buffalo, they're playing them tonight. So Ovi's, I mean, they got in at 2 o'clock. Many got in at 2 o'clock this morning. So they may be a little tired. I think you get 3 goals in those 2 games.
We'll see. Should be a fun one. Well, Joey, thanks for joining us today. Always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again next month. And go Stars.
Appreciate you guys. See you soon.
There he goes, Joey Erickson. Check him out at the Locked On Stars podcast. I have 2 quick things for you guys. One made me think of this, and I realized we better do it while we have the chance because we don't have a show. Sean, Jeremy Swayman, and Darcy Kuemper. Mm-hmm. Boston Bruins, LA Kings, a couple of days ago. By the way, the Kings thumped them by the end of the night. They squared up at center ice. The referees jumped in and wouldn't let the 2 goalies fight. Why? Do you have any insight, any idea why the referees did not let those 2 willing combatants fight? Goalie fights are rare. We love them as hockey fans. Why are they depriving us of the entertainment? This is an entertainment industry after all.
Overstepping the bounds of it. I mean, that's the I didn't look who the referees were on that game, so I don't know. But like, I think back to seeing the mic'd up referees after the Kachucks fighting at the opening faceoff at Four Nations. The referees got it then. They were like, "Hey, this is awesome," and so to me, it's just officials overstepping and getting in the way, and you're going to toss them. You're going to give them a penalty either way for what they did, right? They've gone that far. You're going to give a penalty either way. So I just let him go. That's my philosophy in that moment there.
I'll tell you one thing, Sean. If it was Paul Stewart, he'd have dragged them both to center ice and made them fight. Stewie'd have been in there bouting with them. I think they probably recognize, because that, like you said, they were getting thumped. I think Swayman's had a tough season with everything that's gone on, and I think they probably recognize there's a guy that's a frustrated player, and there's you're just calling somebody down here, and there's no reason to let it go.
I just wonder if there's a directive. I don't know anything about it. I'm just speculating, so that's probably a little bit risky on my part to say. But is the league telling the referees don't let the goalies fight, protect them?
I don't know. My more interesting thing. My more interesting thing about it was, and I don't know if Luds you saw I'm assuming John saw this amongst all of us, if anything. But Luds, did you see what Zadorov said when he was asked about it afterwards?
Oh, I saw this. Yeah.
Like what was your read on that? Because that was for those who haven't seen, basically Zadorov was asked about what it was like to watch Swayman come in and stand up for opponent, and Zadorov basically, who's very blunt in his answers about things, said, "Oh, that's what we're calling that." So, and then said no comment. Yes, exactly. To me, that is that showed me a little bit more about the culture of the Boston Bruins locker room and their feeling towards their goaltender than the actual fight itself, Lutz. And I was curious about your read on that.
You know what? When just bringing up Zadorov, I don't even know the dude at all. For some reason, I just don't think he's the sharpest tool in the shed. Now, I don't know. Would I have him on my team? For sure.
He's tough.
He's tough, and he's big, and I don't think he's a number 1 or number 2 defenseman.
No.
But I think he's a good 4, in that neighborhood.
He's in my bottom pair.
I can see that too. Yeah. Sean, I don't know. I didn't watch the game. I just saw the highlights, so I don't really know exactly what all. But anytime you're getting like that, and and again, I think that the Bruins they're kind of on tilt the way it is with everything that's gone down there, and some important players leaving and things like that.
And the last thing I wanted to bring up to you guys was something we were going to talk about in our AHL signing segment with the two guys, Martino and Taylor, but we just ran out of time. We had to get to Joey. Is the Texas Stars are in first place in their division, 77 points. They have 12 games remaining. The Milwaukee Admirals are in second in the division with 75. They only have 9 left. And then Grand Rapids is 7 points behind Dallas. And Sean, you'll be in Grand Rapids tomorrow night to see the Texas Stars play the Grand Rapids Griffins. And I can't help but bring up Matej Blumel. He is leading the AHL in goals with 35 in 55 games. He is second in the league in points with 62. Justin Ritzkovian also has gotten called up to the Dallas Stars this year, is tied for 7th with 54 points, and he has 19 goals. But to me, especially with what we talked about with the, we didn't talk about it today so much, but the Mikko Rantanen sort of snowball effect of what that does to the Stars cap going forward. And Sean wrote something, I believe it was in your Substack. I could have been a D Magazine, could have been all DLS. Honestly, you're right for too many different places, but
way too many places.
There is a snowball effect of if more money goes to Mikko Rantanen, somebody else isn't going to get some of that. And so a guy like Matej Blumel doing what he has to, I know he's not happy not sticking with the NHL team. He wants to be here. Same with Maverick Bourque, was down there last year tearing up the league. Logan Stankoven. He right now, and the reports out of Steven Meserve, who covers the Texas Stars, says that he's really been developing his defensive game, which is what you have to do if you want to make it to the NHL. You've got to show well, you've got to dominate that league and try to make yourself better. And it seems like he's doing that.
Yeah, and we have a legit case. I'm interested to see how the stat line goes. And Owen, as well as I do about how AHL award voting goes. It tends to be heavily stat-based and stat and sort and everything like that. So Blumel being second in the league right now in scoring, but Andrew Petoralski, I think. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I think it's Podoralski.
Podorowski, who plays for the San Jose Barracuda, has about 9 more points and a couple more games, but San Jose is not nearly as good of a team. You have a legit case where you could have back-to-back years where a Texas Stars player wins league MVP in the AHL. I don't think it's going to happen based off the point differential between number 1 and number 2 right now, but Blumel is at least going to get votes probably, and you have that possibility after a guy we talked about quite a bit earlier in the show, Maverick Bourque, won that award last year.
Luds, with some of the players that are on the Dallas Stars right now, like they're gearing up for a cup, and the Blumel conversation isn't, oh my God, he's an injury too away of playing for Dallas, because with Seguin coming back and the depth they have up front, it probably isn't. You'd have to have, knock on wood, 4 or 5 injuries before he really has to step in there. You talked about Brendan Smith could play a 4th line role. Obviously, the Stars are going to have a couple healthy scratches when Seguin comes back.
My question is, we've seen him here. How many games did he play here? 5, 6, something like that?
A handful of games. I'd have to look real quick.
So, and I think he's got 1 goal. And if I remember correctly, I think it hit him in the foot and went in. I think. I don't, something like that.
He has 1 goal this year in 7 games.
Yeah. Okay, so, and that's why I defer to Sean on this, because can he score at the NHL level? With everything that you're saying, I mean, did he get a good enough look? What I do remember is he got pucks to the net.
He did.
Like he had some shots here, so it's not like he wasn't getting opportunities, because we've seen this for a long time where guys can light it up. And
how many? The 4A guys.
Yeah.
The guys that can score 30 goals in the AHL but can't score goals or create their own space in the NHL.
I guess for me, what I'm saying is I would need a bigger sample size to see what he would do at this level.
Yeah, I to Lud's point, he's a guy who, because of Dallas's depth, he probably gets a little bit more of that runway and potentially a larger role if he's playing for like a Utah or someone else like that right now. And I don't know. I mean, it's the tough thing for him, just finding the fit in Dallas is we talked about those 4th line players and everything like that, and how this team is built and signed right now. There's a lot of competition for those spots. And so one thing for Blumel might be, there could be a legit case of there might be better opportunity NHL-wise somewhere else. And that's a conversation probably.
Well, Sean, he's listed as a Group 6 UFA, which means he's played under 80 games in NHL. He's been a pro for 3 years, and he's 25 years old. He meets those 3 criteria. There's a good situation or a good circumstance here where he simply plays well and goes and gets a deal somewhere else.
I mean, it's the whole example of, and it's not an apples to apples example, but sometimes just because you're doing great with an organization doesn't mean that's the place where you're going to get the NHL opportunity. And I go back to Sheldon Dries. Sheldon Dries signed with the Texas Stars out of Michigan Tech on an AHL deal. The Stars really wanted to sign him to an NHL ELC. Sheldon made the decision to sign with the Avalanche instead because he looked at the depth chart and saw way more opportunity to play. And Dries has now carved himself out a nice little career. He's been up and down, but he's carved out an NHL career where he didn't see that opportunity coming in Dallas. And Blumel is going to have that interesting, hard decision to make in June and July, because the Stars, I know for a fact, would love to have him back. It's not really their decision. It's going to be Blumel on whether he thinks he can break the depth chart here, or if he wants to go to a place where maybe things open up a little bit more for him. Just a fascinating thing to play from just an individual level of where how that's going to play out. And that's a June, and hopefully we're not having discussions like this until July 7th.
Right.
Right. Like,
Can he play on both sides of the puck?
You mean both wings?
Yeah, I want to know if he can. Or does he need to be a top 6 guy, or can he be a 3rd, 4th line?
He has been much better defensively. He's been much better defensively.
I think
so. He's a better defensive player than, so expect him to be able, like a good 3rd line, third line guy that can put the puck in the net once in a while.
Yep.
And, there's some older guys on the team in Dallas. We'll talk about this in the offseason, much greater length. But he is at least putting himself in a possibility of taking a step forward. And that's a good thing with Luds. The big storyline to end all this is, being the Texas is in first place in their division, they're pretty much locked into being a playoff team. Whether they win, whether they're a favorite, the point for me is having your AHL team playing meaningful playoff games is such a valuable tool for development of those players.
What's their goal differential, Sean?
I can tell you.
Texas is
they are
right
plus
now
30.
Okay. There you go.
How about that?
It's pretty good.
I mean, I know a team in Washington, a team in Winnipeg that are I think their numbers start with a 7. But,
well, that's an NHL team.
well,
but
that's my point. So I don't know who's leading in the American League then. Who's got the best
goal differential?
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Probably, I believe it's probably going to be Laval, right? They're probably gonna be like
actually, no, they are in 3rd place.
Hold on, let me try to guess.
Or 4th place. Excuse me. They're in 4th.
Let me try to guess.
He's going to guess this. Go ahead. I'm ready for you.
Rochester is going to be up there.
They are in 3rd with plus 44. Laval is plus 42.
And
Didn't we get a memo that our shows are only supposed to be an hour?
We're almost done.
Okay.
I want to say Colorado. I think they've had a bunch of blowouts.
Bingo.
John is threading a rope up around the pipe up there, so I just wanted to make sure.
2nd place, the Charlotte Checkers at plus 50. And number 1, Sean got it right, the Colorado Eagles plus 66.
That's what I wanted.
And that's through...
That took 3 minutes to get that over here.
Well, we were making it fun.
I know.
All right. Yeah. That'll do it for today. Thank you for joining us. We hope...
No, it won't, because we have 2 super
chats. We have super chats.
Bing bong.
Yay,
do them quick.
Serena. Yay. Hi, Serena, with a Haskin at 99. Does it ever mess up chemistry to bring someone back from injury?
Not a guy like this.
Tyler Seguin.
And again, right now, are we in sync? Are Dallas's 4 lines in sync? I think the 4th line is in sync.
Yes.
Right? I think the 4th line is more in sync than what we see in the top 3 lines right now.
Don't you think that Duchesne and Granlund and Robo looked good last night when they switched to him?
Yeah. That might be something that we see. So I don't think it should mix it up any more than since Rantanen came in and Tyler went out. So it's been kind of a mishmash.
Bing bong.
Burned Oils, a little Brendan Smith and 37. Is it Justin Dowling?
Oh, here's the slutty milkshake.
Give Sam a slutty milkshake to help him through this.
Slutty milkshakes.
Oh, that's so good. We do have another one, though, don't we, John?
Oh, hi, I can say slut.
Oh, my goodness. Is that the last of the super chats?
Yep.
That is a perfect way to end. Actually, for Sean, for John, for our injured buddy Sam, wish you get well soon. For Luds, I'm Owen. And to say goodbye, we have a show tomorrow night. We're going to pre-record our pregame show, but it will air.
You don't need to know that.
We actually were supposed to tell them that.
I don't think we were.
I thought we was told you. Okay.
But it's out there.
8:30 pregame show. 9 o'clock, we'll be at Cosm, Edmonton versus the Stars. And then we'll do the full postgame show after that.
That ought to be a treat.
And I would like us to have Luds
Tune in for
take
the
us out
postgame
tonight,
show.
John.
Oh, hi, I can say slut.
We all silly like the mayor.